Welcome back to the MA English Cafe. Today, we're talking about something we all strive for but often struggle with, building and maintaining healthy habits and routines.
Oh, absolutely. It's that classic battle between the person you want to be and the person who just wants to hit the snooze button one more time. I feel like I'm an expert on starting healthy routines for about 48 hours. I had a phase last month where I decided I was going to become a 5 a.m. person. I was inspired by all these CEOs who wake up and run a marathon before breakfast.
The infamous 5 a.m. club. How did that work out for you?
It was a complete disaster. On the first night, I was so motivated. I laid out my clothes. I set my alarm for 4:59 a.m. to get a head start, you see? And I went to bed feeling like a productivity guru. The next morning, the alarm went off, and it felt like a personal attack. It was dark. It was cold. My brain just went, nope. I hit the snooze button so many times that I ended up waking up at 8:30 a.m., later than usual. I was a night owl trying to pretend to be an early bird, and my body was not having it.
That is so relatable. My epic failure was with meal prepping. One Sunday, I spent 4 hours cooking. I grilled chicken, steamed broccoli, and brown rice for the entire week. My fridge was full of these identical, perfectly portioned containers. I felt so smug and organized. I thought, this is it. This is the new me.
The new me moments are always dangerous. What happened?
Monday's lunch was fine. Tuesday's lunch was okay. By Wednesday, the thought of eating another piece of plain chicken and broccoli made me want to cry. I was walking home from work and I passed a pizza place. The smell was just, heavenly. I tried to resist. I really did. I told myself, you have a healthy, pre-prepared meal at home, Ben, but the temptation was too strong. I gave in and bought a massive pizza. The worst part is I got home and ate the pizza while staring at the 5 sad-looking containers of chicken and broccoli in my fridge. If you've ever had a healthy habit fail this spectacularly, tell us your story in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to MA English while you're there.
That's the thing. We often try to make these huge, drastic changes, and they're just not sustainable. The real secret isn't about becoming a different person overnight. It's about finding small, consistent things that you can actually stick to in the long run.
Exactly. It's about building a routine that works for your life, not a life you saw on the internet. And a big part of that is having the right English vocabulary to talk about it, plan it, and maybe even complain about it to your friends. So, moving on from our failures, let's talk about what actually works. A good daily routine isn't about being rigid. It's about creating a structure that supports your well-being. Let's walk through a typical day and some healthy habits you can incorporate.
Great idea. Let's start with the morning. Since we know the 5 a.m. club is out for me, a more realistic habit is just waking up at a consistent time, even on weekends. It really helps regulate your sleep cycle. The first thing I try to do is drink a full glass of water. It's a simple way to get hydrated and wake your body up.
I do that too. It makes a huge difference. I'd also try to squeeze in about 10 minutes of stretching. I don't always have time for a full workout in the morning, but a quick stretch helps me feel less stiff and gets my day started on the right foot. I also avoid looking at my phone for the first 30 minutes. No emails, no social media, just let my brain wake up slowly.
That's a great one. Then there's the workday. It's so easy to get stuck at your desk for hours, so I make a real effort to take short breaks. Every hour, I get up, walk around for a few minutes, and look out the window to rest my eyes. It helps me stay focused and avoid that afternoon slump.
The dreaded afternoon slump, when all you want is a coffee and a nap. I try to have a healthy snack ready for that time, like some fruit or nuts. It stops me from reaching for junk food.
I also try to get some fresh air during my lunch break, even if it's just a 5-minute walk outside. It really helps to recharge my batteries and clear my head.
Totally agree. Now, let's talk about the evening routine, which is just as important as the morning one. For me, the goal is to wind down properly. I try to set a digital curfew and switch off my laptop and phone at least an hour before bed. The blue light from screens can really mess with your sleep. Instead, I try to read a book or listen to some calming music.
That's something I need to get better at. My evening habit is more about preparing for the next day to reduce morning stress. I take 10 minutes to tidy up my workspace and kitchen, and I make a simple to-do list for the next day. It helps me feel in control and means I don't wake up feeling overwhelmed. If you've found these tips useful for building your own routine, we'd really appreciate it if you gave this video a quick like.
It all comes down to those small, manageable habits. You don't have to do everything at once. Just pick 1 or 2 things, stick to them, and then build from there.
All right, now that we've designed the perfect, realistic day, it's time for the English lesson. Let's break down the essential vocabulary, phrasal verbs, and expressions you need to talk about your habits and routines.
Let's start with some brilliant phrasal verbs we used. I said, you need to find habits you can stick to. To stick to something means to continue doing it and not give up. For example, it's hard to stick to a diet when there's so much cake.
And I said I gave into the temptation of pizza. To give into something means you finally do something you were trying to resist. I also said I try to squeeze in some stretching. When you squeeze in an activity, you manage to find a small amount of time for it in a busy schedule.
Another good one is cut back on. For example, I'm trying to cut back on coffee, which means to reduce the amount you consume. And in the evening, I like to wind down, which means to relax after a period of activity or stress.
Now for some useful idioms and expressions. We mentioned the difference between being an early bird, someone who likes to wake up early, and a night owl, someone who prefers to stay up late. I also said I wanted to get my day started on the right foot, which is an idiom that means to begin something in a positive and successful way.
We also talked about the afternoon slump, which is that period in the afternoon when you feel tired and have low energy. And when you take a break, you might say you need to recharge your batteries, which is a great idiom for regaining your energy.
Finally, let's talk grammar. When you discuss routines, you'll almost always use adverbs of frequency. These are words that tell us how often something happens. They exist on a scale. At 100%, you have always, then usually, often, sometimes, rarely, or seldom, and finally, at 0%, you have never.
The placement is important. These adverbs usually go before the main verb. For example, I usually drink water in the morning. Or, I rarely eat junk food. But if the verb is to be, the adverb goes after it. For instance, I am always tired on Mondays.
Exactly. Mastering those adverbs will make you sound so much more natural when describing your daily life. And that's our lesson for today. We hope this helps you build some healthy habits in your life and in your English.
Thanks for joining us at the MA English Cafe. Remember, consistency is key. We'll see you in the next episode.